Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this fourth debate in the first round of the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. I will now ask our chairperson to speak about the rules of the competition.
The National Assembly recognizes the need to promote a broader awareness of institutions of democracy, particularly the parliament, among our young people. Out of this recognition, birthed the National Youth Debating Competition. This competition serves as a feeder into the 6th Annual Youth Parliament 2021. Rather than having participants in Youth Parliament being students of the University of Guyana only, this competition will allow for broader participation among young people in civil society. The competition involves 48 participants from 16 youth groups across the education districts of Guyana. These groups were nominated by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. The competition, moderated by the Honorable Speaker, will see 15 sessions of debates. 4 sessions will be held each week, on Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The debates will be adjudicated by a total of 9 capable and erudite judges who were organized in pools of 3 and who will be rotated over the duration of the competition. Each competition must have rules. The rules of this National Youth Debating Competition are: participants must be present 10 minutes before the commencement of the debate. 15 minutes lateness would result in disqualification and an automatic win for the other team. Each team must consist of only 3 members, all from the same youth group. Failure to comply will result in the disqualification of the team. Once a team has started the competition, no member should be replaced. The first speaker will be the first speaker of the proposing team, followed by the first speaker of the opposing team, and it will alternate in this order. The times allotted to each speaker are as follows. First speaker, 4 minutes. Second and third speakers, 3 minutes. And the rebuttal will be 5 minutes. The rebuttal must be done by only the first speaker on each team. No new arguments or materials should be introduced into the rebuttal. 10 points will be deducted for introduction of new arguments. A bell will be rung first to indicate that the speaker should commence. The second bell will indicate that 1 minute is remaining, and there would be a final bell when that time has elapsed. 5 points will be deducted from each speaker who does not adhere to the allotted time. In the event of technical difficulties, a speaker may be allotted additional time. This is at the discretion of the judges. Speakers may refer to notes but should not read them. 5 points will be deducted from any speaker who reads a prepared speech. Points will be awarded for reasoning and logic, originality, relevance, mechanics, articulation, development of argument, development of points, attitude to opponent, and cohesion. There must be keen attention paid to subject and verb agreement. And finally, the judges' decisions are final. This competition is not without reward. With regard to prizes, I am pleased to inform you that 24 participants out of the total of 48 winners of the first round of this competition will advance to become members of Youth Parliament 2021. Every participant would receive a certificate of participation, a youth debater's pin, and special tokens. Prizes include trophies, plaques, cash, and electronics, and will be awarded to the best debater in each round, all semi-finalists and finalists. I have the confidence that we could.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This afternoon, our judges for this debate are Dr. Valerie Gurusamy Smith, the Chief Judge. Ms. Gurusamy Smith has been an educator for over 42 years at all levels, primary, secondary, and university. She is a CXC English A and B and mathematics teacher, doing this for over 35 years, and an English lecturer at the University of Guyana for over 20 years. Dr. Gurusamy Smith is the director of the Berea College, Royal College International. She is also in the pastoral ministry for over 21 years. A counselor, motivational speaker, both nationally and internationally, and a debating coach. She is a two-time winner of the University of Guyana Interfaculty Debating Competition. She has debated in New York and St. Thomas, beautiful island, for the University of Guyana. She is the founder and coach of the course Mastering the Art of Public Speaking. The second judge is Mr. Neil Marks, editorial consultant at Newsroom. Mr. Marks has worked in the print and broadcast media in Guyana for over 22 years. He currently works as a producer and editorial consultant with Newsroom while working as Guyana correspondent for Reuters. Mr. Marks' work has appeared in the New York Times, the BBC, and the UK Guardian. He is the immediate past president of the Guyana Press Association. Mr. Marks serves as a project volunteer on community enhancement. Apart from English, Neil speaks Mandarin, Ni Hao. He is an advocate for Creole language, and his goals include the establishment of community-based news hubs in Guyana's minority language. Our third speaker is Mr. Delon Fraser, distinguished Toastmaster. Delon has been a Toastmaster for over 10 years. He's a member of the One Country, One World Advanced Toastmasters Club and the Cacique Toastmasters Club. He has served and continues to serve in many leadership roles at the club's area, division, and district levels. Mr. Fraser has judged numerous speech contests at various levels and has served as a judge for previous youth parliaments. He acquired a Master's of Business Administration degree, a Bachelor of Social Science degree in International Relations, a Bachelor's of Law degree, and an Advanced Diploma in Project Management. He is a Franklin Covey Facilitator, Global Peace Ambassador, Scout, and Global Shaper. Today's two teams are the University of Guyana Student Society, and the opposing team is the Oronoque Sports Group. For the University of Guyana Student Society, we have the first speaker, Riaz Rupnarain, 31 years old, from Jacklow, Pomeroon River. The second speaker, Jafar Gibbons, 26-year-old, from Queenstown. And the third speaker, Ms. Marissa Scott, 22 years old, from Blyden Avenue, South Riseless. The opposing team from Oronoque Sports Group, the first speaker is Kezia Albert, 19 years old, from Pittsburgh, Port Kaituma. Second speaker, Kieran Williams, 18 years old from Pittsburgh, Port Kaituma. And the third speaker is Shania Mitchell, 17 years old from Railway Line, Port Kaituma. Our mood today is secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid students. I declare the debate open. Our first speaker, Mr. Riaz Rupnarain, University of Guyana. Riaz, the floor is now yours at 222.59.
Mr. Speaker, esteemed judges, comrades of the opposition, colleagues of the proposition, audience listening, a pleasant good afternoon to you. Confucius said, and I quote, "Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life." Under this premise, I, Riaz Rupnarain of the University of Guyana Student Society, stand formidably with my colleagues to convince you that secondary schools have insufficient program in career guidance to aid our students. Before we proceed, we need to understand what is career guidance, as it is the omphalos of today's argument. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, career guidance is advice and information about what type of job someone could do or how they could progress to a better job. This is further supported from Boise State University, Idaho, USA, which says that career guidance is a process that will help you to know and understand yourself and the world of work in order to make a career, an educational, and a life decision. Based on these definitions, without a doubt, there is insufficient career guidance in our secondary schools today. Holding career fair once in a blue moon does not qualify as sufficient career guidance program. In this regard, I, as the first speaker, will highlight the present program in the school system and how insufficient they are. My second speaker will look at the ripple effect of the lack of sufficient career guidance programs and tertiary intakes. And the final speaker, the third speaker, will look at CARICOM member states who share the same education system as Guyana and the career guidance programs that they practice within their school systems. Mr. Speaker, learned judges, members of the opposition, according to the Ministry of Education website, there are over 245 secondary schools in Guyana. Prior to the pandemic, career fair was held sporadically, with booths sharing pamphlets and brochures. Come on, this is what we are calling career guidance, giving these students more things to read, and we know how Gen Z is fascinated about reading. Then fairs are repeated monotonously, and because there is a large turnout, it is not successful. Einstein said, and I quote, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result," end of quote. In addition, when these career fairs are held, how many are held in far-flung and poor areas and not just elite secondary schools? These students need to understand that there are opportunities outside of their communities. According to the Department of Public Information, Georgia had their last career fair in 2018. Region 3 and Region 6 had their last career fair in 2017. My dear members of the opposition, when was the last time Region 1 had a career fair? Mr. Speaker, esteemed judges, honorable members of the opposition, in the actual curriculum acquired from NSERD, the only formal evidence of career guidance in our school system is in the grade 8 HFLE curriculum. Come on. A 1 week teaching in a 5-year secondary program is all we're sending our secondary school children out into the world of works with. These children need to know how to prepare application, how to prepare for interviews. My dear members of the opposition, this is what we need our children to be assisted with. Franklin Roosevelt said, and I quote, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future," end of quote. Mr. Speaker, erudite judges, friends of the opposition, and all listening, I am confident that we will provide irrefutable evidence that secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid our lovely Guyanese students. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rupnarain. And the opening speaker for the Oronoque Sport Group out of Port Kaituma is Kezia Albert. Kezia, The opportunity is now yours to make your presentation. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Keisha.
Highly esteemed judges, members of the proposition, colleagues of the opposition, a gratifying day to you. Today, I, the first speaker of the opposition, stand boldly before you in extreme confidence to begin my team's argument in opposition which states, and I quote, secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid students, unquote. Before I go further, please permit me to define some key terms in the MOOC which are all taken from the Oxford Secondary Schools Insufficient Programs and Career Guidance. Secondary school refers to, and I quote, institution intermediate between elementary and college, which usually offers general skills and career preparation, unquote. Insufficient programs refer to, and I quote, ineffective measures or activity with a specified aim, unquote. While career guidance is defined as, and I quote, assistance given to individuals to help them acquire the knowledge, skills, and experience necessary to identify career options or career decisions, unquote. According to the key terms defined in the MOOC, we, the members of the opposition, refute the MOOC to be, and I quote, secondary schools have sufficient programs in career guidance to aid students, unquote. As the first speaker of the opposition, I will emphasize on the sufficiency of some programs being offered by secondary schools in the Caribbean regarding career paths. My second speaker will delineate the effectiveness of some programs in aiding career skills, and my third speaker will highlight on how teachers impact students in career guidance. Allow me to define the term sufficient, which is defined by the Merriam's Dictionary as, and I quote, the quality and not the quantity of the services provided, unquote. This therefore implies that sufficient can be 10, 5, or even 1. I will now begin my team's argument to convince you that secondary schools have, and I repeat, have sufficient programs to aid in career guidance. Esteemed judges, members of the proposition, it is highly ironic to say that secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance, since we can visualize that students entering secondary schools are introduced to specialized subject areas, which include streaming. According to an educational meeting conducted among the Caribbean states in 2013, it was established that a total of 75.3% of secondary schools across the region have streaming systems in place. In a survey conducted at 4 secondary schools across Guyana in the year 2014, a significant 87% of students were sure on what career paths they wanted to acquire due to streaming. To cater for the unfortunate students, the secondary competence certificate programs, well known as the SCCP, was established with the objective to provide students who are not academically inclined to make them employable. In 2014, Minister of Education, Honorable Priya Manichan, was proud to announce that 80.8% of those who were able to enroll in the program were able to identify what career paths they should take. My goodness, rivals of the proposition, don't you see we do have adequate programs in career guidance? What about the sports-oriented activities that is extended to us? And the opportunity of youth parliament being granted to secondary school, are these resources being wasted? Do you know the popular say the more you get, the more you want? So tell me, will the members of the proposition ever be contented? Honorable judges, learned members of the proposition, as I am about to pass the baton on to my second speaker, I applaud you for Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kezia. Our next speaker is Mr. Jafar Gibbons from the University of Guyana Student Society. Jafar, you have the opportunity now to make your contribution. It's 231.
232. 00. Go ahead.
Greetings of peace to you, Mr. Speaker, our honorable judges, listeners, fans, and lastly, our opponents. Honorable judges, our opponents know, we know, and the judges and listeners know as well, that insufficient programs in career guidance exist at our secondary schools? Will our opposition then, honorable judges, say to us, speaker and listeners who know better, that this is done sufficiently in our secondary schools? Before the opposition second speaker come to the floor and try to convince themselves that this is true, let me reiterate my team's position. Secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance indicators. We are not saying none, no, but an insufficient amount. With insufficient career guidance expended at our secondary school, we encounter a lot of persons employed in fields they did not aspire for, teachers teaching that did not aspire to teach. Ian Cameron, now a captain in the Guyana Defense Force, started out as a career teacher, even though he stated publicly a few days ago that upon completion of his 7 years secondary education at Mackenzie High School, he himself knew not what to do, and as a result, opted to start teaching since it was the only option available to him. My classmate, who is currently enrolled at Curriculum Labor College, hopes to one day be a teacher. It's our only option, and she related to myself that it is not our wish to be a teacher, but due to situation beyond our control, she is willing to settle for that. Mr. Speaker and judges, our opponents will almost certainly use the career guidance program started in Guyana back in 2013 that had featured in just about 10 schools in Georgetown. Just 10. Added to that, the lack of career guidance in secondary school was one of the findings of a commission of inquiry held back in 2017. And according to the former chairman of that COI into our education system, at Caesar, also a former education officer, the welfare within the public education system is a far cry from health. Even God also state that the welfare officer must have guidance and counseling skills, since such persons would essentially have to be more than a mere welfare officer. Even our policy makers, esteemed judges, has acknowledged this fact. Our opposition too must come to this realization that our secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
And
Jafar.
now for the second speaker for the Oronoque Sport Group, Mr. Kieran Williams. Kieran, the floor is now yours.
Eloquent judges, members of the proposition, colleagues of the opposition, audience all, a special day to you. As the second speaker of the opposition, it is my duty to further oppose the moot which states, and I quote, secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid students, end of quote. With the aid of programs such as career festivals and symposiums, individuals from various job arenas are invited to secondary schools to share viewpoints on career options. When this is completed, students gain a wealth of knowledge, making them well equipped in choosing a career. Well-educated judges, friends of the proposition. According to an article published by the Guyana Times newspaper on June 16, 2019, students who have completed their secondary education certificate examinations are given the opportunity to be involved in work-study programs to help them acquire the skills, the information, and experience to identify career options and how to be solution-focused when entering the world of work. With regard to the aforementioned newspaper, the district education officer of West Demerara, Mr. Devendra Prasad, stated that, and I quote, the objective of this work study is to expose students to the world of work, where they will be taking you through the process of career awareness, career exploration, and other life skills and experiences, end of quote. This clearly shows that students are being carefully guided and properly equipped with the tools for career guidance in so many ways. Members of the proposition, when you say that secondary schools have insufficient career guidance programs, are you forgetting about the successful doctors, teachers, lawyers, and even politicians that these very secondary schools produce? How ironic is it that the learned proposition wants us to believe people with insufficient career guidance have no problems choosing careers? The proposition may want to argue that the career guidance programs are insufficient because some students at the university level switch programs. However, according to a study conducted by the University of the West Indies in 2013, it was evident that out of the 40% of students who switched their study programs, 8% switched because of parental pleasures and demand, 3.5 switched because of bullyism, and 1.5 switched because of mental difficulties. I will now decrease and allow my third speaker to increase to further convince you that we indeed do have sufficient programs to aid secondary school students in career guidance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kiran. And now for our third speaker for the proposing team, the University of Guyana. That's Marissa Scott. Marissa, you now have the opportunity to make your presentation.
Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, members of the opposition, colleagues of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen of the virtual audience, good afternoon. I am Marissa Scott, third speaker of the proposition in support of youth, and I quote, secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid students, end of quote. To reinforce our position this afternoon, I will identify 2 out of many best practices where our Caribbean sisters took deliberate action to ensure their students make good choices about career prospects in this dynamic regional labor market. According to the Government Information System of Barbados, in 2017, the Ministry of Labor, Social Security, and Human Resource Development Unit trained over 40 professionals in multiple 3-month, not 2 days, 3-month training sessions. The trainings included teachers, education officers, welfare officers, sociologists, and even psychologists. One beneficiary of this initiative, Guidance Council of George Secondary School, Ms. Patricia Welch, stated, and I quote, when I first started 16 years ago, children would have had an idea about what career they were interested in. Today, the children are unsure about their career choices. And I believe that having an understanding of the different theories and techniques would help me to guide the students to understanding their best skills. End of quote. Career guidance must, and I emphasize must, be done by professionals who are constantly trained in the area, not random persons at the symposium. Another Caribbean nation to actively engage their youth in proper career guidance is Jamaica. In 2017 and 2018, the government of Jamaica spent millions of Jamaican dollars to ramp up career guidance programs in secondary and primary school. This was supported by the Ministry of Education, Youth, and Information. And then in 2019, when Jamaica moved to TET, technical vocational educational training, to the same mainstream as the core subjects taught, Minister of Education, Mr. Terry Long, stated, and I quote, this paradigm shift is driven by the recognition that for over several decades, there has been a disconnect between the skills imparted by national educational systems and those demanded by the workplace. The opposition this afternoon would have you believe that the one-day career fair during Education Month once a year is adequate career guidance for our students. Esteemed judges, audience, I beg you, do not be led astray. This is 2021. We must ask ourselves, are our secondary schools effectively responding to the demands for increased employability and productivity of labor? I submit to you, secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
And
Marissa. And the final
from the Oronoque Sport Group is Ms. Shania Mitchell. Shania, you now have the opportunity to make your presentation.
Paradise judges, members of the proposition, audience all, a splendid afternoon. Today, I, the third speaker, stand boldly in opposition of the mood, and I quote, secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid students, unquote. Edgar Department of Education did a research on trained teachers which stated, and I quote, in higher institutions, teachers learn the skills in assisting students as it relates to their future, unquote. With that being said, in September year 2019, the UNESCO Institute for Statistics did a survey on trained teachers at the secondary level, which states, and I quote, over 71% of teachers are being trained yearly at higher education institutes, unquote. Eloquent judges, members of the proposition, don't you recall having conversations with your teachers about your career? Wasn't that a guide to where you are today? Let's not forget that teachers mold the nation, and from them, all of operations at the Caribbean Examination Council stated, and I quote, secondary school based assessment gives our students an early start and a broader understanding of personal growth, career exploration, and the tools to perform job searches, as well as an updated view of the workplace skills required, unquote. In 2019, Bob Adamson conducted a research on the student's voice in school-based assessment, which states, and I quote, 77% of school-based assessment give them a better understanding as it relates to their career choices, unquote. Esteemed judges, why allow the members of the proposition to say otherwise when clearly students have had sufficient, and I repeat, sufficient career guidance throughout the years? Why are we here when we continue to see students graduating and entering various firms and institutions? To conclude, I strongly believe that secondary school offers sufficient, and I repeat, sufficient programs in career guidance to aid students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shania. We are going to give our participants 8 minutes to get their thoughts together. The judges will also use this time to start doing their final assessment during this first round. I want to say to you that this is the first. This is the first Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. It is being organized to be a feeder into the Youth Parliament. The National Assembly, the Parliament of Guyana in 2015 started the National Youth Parliament. That is held when the Parliament goes into recess on August the 10th. Those two parliaments, one for school students and the second for University of Guyana students, happened during the week after the break. This year, we thought that instead of just having University of Guyana students participate in the youth parliament, for the older persons, we'd have a youth debating competition, which will now bring debates to a wider cross-section of our people throughout the country. Hence, this first inaugural Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. But this is not just about a youth debating competition. It's about our strategy, our policy of bringing to our people the duties, functions of the different arms of government, and also informing our people about the institutions of democracy in our country. And so during this term, a number of initiatives will be implemented at various levels in order to promote the work of the National Assembly, to promote a democratic culture, and more particularly to ensure that we can build future generations committed to democratic values. So this is one of the initiatives which is going to be part of this process of youth involvement, youth awareness, and youth education of our institutions of democracy. We also do for the young children under 10, we do outreaches, and we have different giveaways, including workbooks about Parliament and about our society. And later on, because of rain and COVID, we've been unable to implement another aspect of our menu of measures to promote the National Assembly, the Parliament, and this democratic culture, and that is through sport. The Speakers National T20 competition is on hold, and that is another one which will bring a different segment of our society exposed to the work and the institutions of democracy in our country. Of course, we have the live broadcast of Parliament, we have the different releases, we have different programs that we reach out to the international community, and to different segments in our society. So this is part of our work, and this national school debating competition is one of these initiatives. We want to make this Speakers National Youth Debating Competition a calendar event. So next year we look forward to it. This year we have 16 youth groups participating from 8 regions. In the first round, 8 groups will be eliminated. The second round, which is literally the quarterfinals, will see 8 groups participating. The finals will be held on July the 9th. The final will be held on July the 9th. Exciting prizes are on offer for everyone. Certificates of participation. Every debate will have a best debater adjudged with the recognized token and trophies. We also have every one of the finalists will receive a tablet, cash incentives, trophies, and the best debater will receive a laptop. So these are some of the exciting prizes. We want to especially make mention of the Minister in the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport that has collaborated with us in order to identify the youth groups across the country. As we are preparing to go back to return to our participants, we are going to have the 2 rebuttals. First, the rebuttal from the opposition. That would be led by the first speaker from the opposition, Ms. Kezia Albert, and then the proposition will close the debate, the first speaker being Mr. Riaz Rupnarain. Ms. Albert and Mr. Rupnarain closing off the debate. So our judges are busy doing their first rounds of analysis and evaluation, while our participants are now wrapping up their comments that will be presented by the persons doing their rebuttal. Today we have, this afternoon, Friday, we have the Oronoque Sport Group out of Port Kaituma, and we have the University of Guyana Student Society, UG, being 73 years old. The UGSS has been around a very long time and has been participating in these debates and competitions for many, 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 many years. We have had today, it's the 4th debate in the first round and the first week of competition. Next week we will complete the first round debates. Debates are on Tuesdays from 10 to 11:20, and on Friday and Tuesdays mornings from 10 to 11:20, and afternoon from 2 to 3:20. And we also have the same times on Friday. 2 days a week, 2 debates each day. We are really working our judges very, very hard. An organizing team comprising the staff of Parliament has put together this debate. They have done so in a matter of a few weeks with the cooperation of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. So are we ready to return to the debaters? And the opposition, led by Ms. Kezia Albert, will be opening the debate. Our operators are queuing in. We know a lot of persons have been joining us via social media. We thank you for not only joining, but I understand many persons are also sharing the link. So by next week, we expect that these competitions will be a big viral event. Yes, we're back. So let me now invite Kizia Albert from the Oronoque Sport Group out of Fort Kaituma to make her rebuttal.
Give Kizia a chance. Comfortable? There you go, Kizia. It's now 253.09.
Highly esteemed judges, friends of the proposition, viewers, listeners, all. Today, I, the first speaker of the opposition, stand boldly before you once more, not to put forward new arguments, but to neutralize the points put forward by the proposition and to point out that it is preposterous to think or most of debate such a moot, since we cannot visualize from the factual information presented from everyday reality that secondary schools have sufficient programs in career guidance to aid students. Most eloquent judges, the first speaker of the proposition made mention that career guidance occurs once in a blue moon. Allow me to take you back to the term sufficient that was defined by yours truly as the quality and not the quantity of the services provided. This therefore implies that it is not when, but how effective was that last program. Esteemed judges, the second speaker of the proposition stated the teachers not wanting to teach, not wanting to be teachers, but according to the third speaker of the opposition, 75% of teachers are being trained at higher educational institutions which are proud to teach most educated judges. The third speaker of the proposition team mentioned that students are unsure about career paths. However, yours truly mentioned that due to streaming, 75.3% were sure on the career choice. My question to the proposition is the percent of the unsure youths all due to the insufficient programs in career guidance, or is it due to other reasons? Eloquent adjudicates, as I'm about to conclude my team's argument in opposition of the moot, I applaud you to ponder on the moot and walk in accordance with us, the members of the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Albert. And now I invite Riaz from the University of Guyana Student Society, Mr. Riaz Rupnarain, to make his rebuttal.
Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, my comrades of the opposition, I, Riaz Rupnarain, rise once again, filled with excitement and pleasure to debunk the illegitimate claims made by the members of the opposition, as I further cement the fact that secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid our dear students. I must first iterate that we said insufficient and we didn't say any or none. Listening to the comrades of the opposition, I assume that there were some grammatical errors in their speeches, for what they were saying couldn't be less than a fairy tale. Excitement filled me like a little boy on Christmas Day when I heard the first speaker saying with all assurance that secondary schools have sufficient career guidance. The first speaker said that the study showed 87% was sure about their career paths. Which study was this acquired from? Because my second speaker would have highlighted that in 2017, an investigation was done across Guyana under the Commission of Inquiry by the chairman, Mr. Ed Caesar, a former education officer within the Ministry of Education, and showed that there's a severe lack of career guidance in the school system, that students need to move away from the number of subjects that they're writing and more into the career path that they decide to choose. The honorable member also said that streaming is a method of career guidance. How are we sure these students are not selecting these streams because of their friends, or even because they don't like accounts like yours truly? Einstein said, and I quote, "Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." End of quote. Honorable member, subjective view is not sufficient evidence. The second speaker highlighted that work study was done in many schools to train children in career guidance. However, he failed to highlight to us and to the judges how many students are selected for this work study program. And as I would have said in my speech, there are over 245 secondary schools along 11 education districts. How many schools are fairly selected for this work study program? He also went on to point out that politicians and lawyers are all coming out from secondary schools. Well, inevitably, because we are mandated to go through the system, that is the only place we are going to come from. But to get a direct advice to come there, I will have to have a personal conversation with our dear moderator, Mr. Speaker, to inquire if he was guided to become a member of parliament and now the Speaker of the National Assembly. The third speaker highlighted that a plethora of teachers are trained at the Rebuttal College of Education, according to a UNESCO study, and can advise students in career in a conversation. Are you kidding me? A conversation? My dear members of the opposition, I have never known that CPC does training in career guidance and that you can become a counselor. So apparently my mother was right when she said they don't have to know cricket to coach a cricket team. Our third speaker would have highlighted that Barbados did a 3-month training of officer. 3 months, not the 1-day, 2-day session. A 3-month training of officers and personnel, which included psychologists, to become counselors to give career guidance to students. Because it is not just a profession, a job that you do, it is something that you will have to love and do it in the best of your ability. It does not come overnight. Mr. Speaker, erudite judges, members of the opposition, audience all, I have now placed the icing on the cake and added the sprinkles, as we, the members, have evidently proven that secondary schools have insufficient programs in career guidance to aid our students. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Riaz. And there you have it. Both teams today, the Oronoque Sport Group from Port Kaituma and the University of Guyana Student Society. Our judges are now going to tabulate and finalize their results and will shortly make that presentation to you. This Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition is going to run until the finals, July the 9th. 16 groups across the country are participating. We're ending the first week with 4 debates in this first round. Next week we will have 4 more debates in the first round and conclude the first round of debates. So far it's been very encouraging, and we have been seeing that from the comments coming from social media. In fact, for this afternoon, we have Oslin Ramlal commending the topic, excellent debatable topic. We also have Robindra Prashad saying, I love these kinds of debates. Congratulations to everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Father's Day to all. Adriana, welcome, says both teams did extremely well. Thank you very much for those comments. Thank you for joining us via social media. Exciting prizes await every single one. Certificates of participation go out to all of our participants, 48 of them, from 16 youth groups throughout the country. The finals will see exciting prizes. Everyone in the finals will receive a cash prize. They will receive a tablet. They will receive trophies. They will receive also national recognition. And the best debater will receive a laptop. These prizes are coming to you from the compliments of the National Assembly. We have more comments coming through. Aliyah Haywood, good debate. Nairan Sukram, this is a close one. So thank you for following all of us. And it just shows, as Nyron says, this is a close one. The speaker is not judging, he's reporting. But look at the opportunity given to youth groups throughout the country to participate in such a competition. And look at what is coming out of it. And for this, everyone has to be commended. Our organizers, our participants, the people behind the participants, those who are assisting in coaching them, those who are being their sounding boards. This has been a lot of work for every single one. And we in the National Assembly are very, very encouraged with the response and the caliber of the presentations we have seen so far. Clearly, many of these persons are destined to the big debates at the national level, and especially in the House itself. Zem Samlal says, congrats to both teams, job well done. Our judges are ready. Let me remind you who the judges are. Our chief judge is Dr. Valerie Gursami, an excellent debater, university lecturer, lecturer in English, and a host of credentials which make her more than qualified to be chief judge. Mr. Delon Fraser, former national debater, prize-winning debater, Toastmasters of international renown, and of course, we have the final judge, Neil Marks, popular journalist, 22 years in the profession, has seen it from the bottom, as they would say, right from the cleaner's room all the way to the boardroom. So he has walked the walk, Neil Marks, our third judge. Let me invite first Mr. Marks to give some of his comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, again for organizing the debate, and congratulations, debaters. I really enjoyed today's presentation. I have to say that I was a bit cynical when the debate started, because I didn't even know where Oronoque was from, and then I saw them compared to the University of Guyana Student Society. So I was wondering how this was going to go. If there's one thing that I want to say is that flowery language doesn't really work in a debate. You have to be factual and be relevant. And I think the team that presented facts and was relevant won the debate today. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Mr. Fraser, our second judge.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I hope that all the participants would have just given themselves a wonderful pat on the back for completing such a wonderful debate. And like my colleague did mention, flowery language don't win debates. However, I'm going to also add that in debating, you also need to do thorough research. And it showed this afternoon that while one team did their homework, they spent a lot of time in researching it, they brought relevance and they tied the relevance to their arguments. So their structure was well put together, and I would like to thank that team for that. And also, you need to be careful with your examples when you're debating. Examples can be a shot in the leg, especially if you used it to not strengthen your argument, but give the other side something to use as arms. So that's my bit for today, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. May the best team win.
Thank you, Delon. And our Chief Judge, Dr. Valerie Gursami Smith. Doc?
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again for this opportunity to function as Chief Judge. I must say this team is building up. The enthusiasm is there, and it's not a fairy tale. It's a real unfolding of the quality of our young people, and I'm very impressed with the way they're presenting. However, I do endorse the comments made by the other two judges, and I want to say that, like Delon said, preparation is very important when you're coming to bring a topic for discussion on an argumentative level, you have to make sure that you are using solid facts, well sourced. Even the definition, you have to be careful where you take your definitions from. You have to be careful, and in such an era where we're technologically advanced, I believe more use could have been made with sources of definition, multiple definition, to enforce that what you're going to propose or oppose is well backed up. It has an excellent background. And this was indeed shown by one team. One team showed that they understood the mood, they defined the mood to suit their argument, they had sufficient and reliable source of evidence, and they used it well. It did not just come to dress up the discussion, it came to enforce the discussion to a desired end. As a result of that, it wasn't difficult to choose a winner this afternoon. When you hear University of Guyana Student Society coming against a sports club group, you begin to have certain expectations. And this afternoon, I want to say that never prejudge. You have to wait and listen to the unfolding. And as we listen to the unfolding of this competition this afternoon, we are pleased to announce that both groups made efforts. They created a discussion. They give that, I like the first speaker of the proposition. I'm using terms such as fairy tale and, you know, pleasure and excitement. And that's good, but then we also have to have facts to go with it. Debating is about facts. Debating is about sourcing. Debating is about evidence. And this afternoon, I want to say that we have been given the opportunity to draw a conclusion, and the conclusion showed that we have a best speaker, we have a better rebuttal, and we do have a winner this afternoon. The scores came down to one group out of 325 points, one group got 239, and the other group got 288, which shows a real big difference there. So this afternoon, we want to really congratulate the best speaker of the debate coming from the opposition, Ms. Shania Mitchell. Give her a round of applause. Ms. Shania Mitchell has done well. She used debating techniques. Her voice was excellent. And between her and the second speaker, the decision was made to give it to her. Congratulations, Ms. Shania Mitchell. The better rebuttal went to the opposition. Give them a round of applause. And the pleasure is mine to announce the winner of today's debate between the University of Guyana Student Society and the Oronoque Sports Group, that the Oronoque Sports Group is going home with the win. Give them a rousing round of applause. They did treat us to what we call debating this afternoon. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gurusamy Smith. Thank you very much, judges. Thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you to all who have worked hard to put this together. And for me, I want to end with congratulations to every single one. Certainly, today was an eye-opener for me. And I want to say to the Oronoque Sport Group, you probably are now the Oronoque Debating Group. Congratulations, Oronoque. Congratulations, Shania. Congratulations to UGSS. Another lesson is never underestimate the opposition. Congratulations to all of you. Happy Father's Day to everyone. And we'll be back next Tuesday at 10 a.m. for another debate in the first round of the Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. Good afternoon.